In this video, let's go ahead and practice evaluating some numerical expressions together, dealing with some fractional values. For each of these practice problems, we're going to make sure that we do follow the order of operations and go ahead and simplify or evaluate each of these numerical expressions till we just have one value at the end, or one answer. All right, so for number one, we have two addition problems and a multiplication problem. Multiplication is going to go first here, so let's go ahead and multiply this 3 over 2 times this 5 over 2. So we are going to just copy down this 3/4 in the beginning, then go ahead and add on this negative 5/4, just like this. And then if we do 3/2 times 5/2, that's going to end up being 15/4. All right, so now we have all common denominators, which is really nice. Between these two addition problems, let's go from left to right here. Let's go ahead and take this 3/4 and add on this negative 5/4. So 3 minus 5 is going to be negative 2. So this is going to be negative 2/4. So I'm going to go ahead and write it as a negative 2 over 4. And then we're going to add on this 15 over 4. Now you could simplify and get halves on the left fraction here, but I think we like the common denominator, so let's keep them the same. And finally, if we add this negative 2/4 plus 15/4, negative 2 plus 15 is going to be 13, so this is going to be 13/4. And we can also write this as a mixed number if you'd like to and say this is going to be 3 1/4. All right, let's check out another one. So for number two, we have another expression here. Looks like we have two subtraction problems and a multiplication problem. Between each of these operations, let's start with multiplication here. So let's start by just copying down the negative 1/6. And then instead of writing this minus negative 11/6, let's just go ahead and right now rewrite that as an addition problem, right, plus 11/6. And then if we multiply this out, 1 times 2 is 2, and then 2 times 3 is going to be 6. So I'm going to write 2 over 6 here. This can be simplified, but let's go ahead and just keep the common denominators because that's going to make things a little easy for us. We have two problems, one's addition, one's subtraction. Let's do the addition, just go left to right here. Negative 1 plus 11 is going to be 10, so this is going to be 10/6. Which I know this can be simplified too, but we don't really want to because we like these common denominators, right? So we have 10 over 6 minus this 2 over 6. Keep those denominators the same, then 10 minus 2 is going to be 8. So we're looking at 8/6 here. And this one can be simplified, so let's go ahead and do that at the end. Divide both top and bottom by their GCF of 2. And so we're going to say this is going to be 4 over 3. And if you want to write a mixed number, we can write 1 1/3. All right, for number three, for this one, looks like we have two addition problems and a multiplication problem. So let's go ahead and do the multiplication problem first here. So copy down that 3/8 plus this negative 1/8, but we can rewrite that as just subtracting 1/8, right? A little bit cleaner here. And then let's go ahead and multiply this out. So 3 times 3, this is going to be 9, and then 2 times 4 is going to be 8. It's kind of nice we have some common denominators here between subtraction and addition. Let's do the subtraction first because we're going from left to right and they're equally important. 3/8 minus 1/8 is going to be 2/8. So we have 2/8 plus this 9/8 here. 2 plus 9 is going to be 11. So we can go ahead and add these two fractions because they have common denominators. And so we can say 11/8 would be the final value for this expression. We can also write this as a mixed number as 1 3/8 though. Alrighty, for number four, looks like we have two subtraction problems and a multiplication problem. Let's go ahead and do the multiplication first here. Let's copy this negative 9/10, and then we're going to be taking away this 3/10, but I know that later on I'm just going to want to add this anyway, so I'm going to write plus negative 3/10, just because it's a little bit easier for me to add two negatives together. And then let's go ahead and subtract what's going on over here. Well, 3 times 4 is going to be 12, and then 2 times 5 is going to be 10. Yes, we could simplify along the way and cross cancel or do it now, but we kind of like these common denominators, so there's kind of no point in doing that. Between addition and subtraction, let's go ahead and do the addition, just because going left to right here. Negative 9 plus negative 3 is going to be negative 12, so we're looking at negative 12 over 10. And then instead of writing minus 12 over 10, let's go ahead and just write plus another negative 12 over 10, just to make it a little bit more clear here, hopefully. So a negative 12 plus a negative 12 is going to be negative 24. So it's going to be negative 24 over 10. We can go ahead and just divide top and bottom by their GCF of 2. So we get negative 12 over 5. And so you could write this as negative 12 over 5 as an improper fraction, or you can write negative 2 2/5 if you want to write it as a mixed number. Now I forgot to highlight it earlier, but after we did that addition problem, we really did the subtraction problem. I just rewrote it as an addition problem here. All right, let's try another. All right, in this problem, it looks like we have one division, one subtraction, one addition, and another subtraction. Between all of these, the division is going to get to go first here. So we have to do this 1/4 divided by this 3/2. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this on the side just to keep things nice and organized with the work we're doing here. So 1/4 divided by 3/2 is the same thing as 1/4 multiplied by 2/3. So if we want to just go ahead and do that, so we have some space here. This is going to be 2/12. Which simplifies down to just being 1/6, right? So that's the quotient of 1/4 and 3/2. So if we go ahead and write that down, that's going to be this 1/6 here. So we can go ahead and write 1/6. And instead of writing this minus this -5/2, we can just rewrite that as adding a +5/2. If we rewrite that as an addition problem, then we go ahead and add on this 9/2 and then take away this 7/2. So it looks like almost everything has common denominators. However, we do have these sixths here. So what can we do here? Well, we could just turn everything into sixths, right? So let's go ahead and do that actually. Let's keep the 6 at the bottom here. That one's the, I think, the least common denominator we can use. 5/2, if we rewrite that using 6, we can times 3 top and bottom. That's going to be 15/6. And then we can do the same here, times 3 times 3. That's going to be 27/6. And then times 3 here is going to be minus 21/6. So we just had to do a little bit of work to rewrite these fractions, but now they all have the same denominator, and we can kind of keep going forward here, right? Left to right here, since everything is kind of tied for first place, addition and subtraction equally important. So 1/6 plus 15/6 is going to be 16/6. So we have 16/6 plus this 27/6, and then we're going to take away 21/6 in a little bit. Between these two operations, addition is going to go first here. So 16 plus 27, I think that's going to be 43. So I think it's going to be 43/6 minus this 21/6. And then finally, if we go ahead and subtract 43/6 minus 21/6, that is going to be 22/6. And I think we can go ahead and divide these by their GCF of 2 to get 11/3. That would be our answer as an improper fraction, but as a mixed number, we can say this is going to be 3 2/3. All right, here is number 6. In this one, it looks like we have subtraction, addition, division, and addition. Between all these operations, let's go ahead and do the division first here. I'm going to do this on the side just to keep things organized. So we have 1/4 divided by 3/5, but that's the same thing as 1/4 times this 5/3. If we go to multiply this out, that's going to be 5/12. So that's going to be the quotient of those two fractions. So let's see here. We have 5/12 minus this 9/12. And then we just figure out the quotient here is going to be 5/12 here. So 5/12 and then plus 17/12 here. All right. All right, now we have just subtraction, addition, and addition. They're all equally important, so go left to right. 5/12 minus 9/12. 5 minus 9 is going to be -4. So we're going to have this -4/12 plus this 5/12, and then we have plus 17/12. Between the two addition problems here, just go left to right. So we have -4/12 plus 5/12. That's going to be positive 1/12. So we have 1/12 plus 17/12 here. Adding these two together, we're just going to get 1 plus 17. That's going to be a total of 18. So we're looking at 18/12. If we divide top and bottom by their GCF of 6, we're going to get 3/2. And so that would be our answer as an improper fraction, but as a mixed number, we could say that's going to be 1.5. For number 7, looks like we have subtraction, multiplication, as well as subtraction. Between these operations, let's go with the multiplication first here. So I'm going to actually do that on the side just because we can go ahead and cancel out some things here. So it's a negative times a positive, but I'm just going to go ahead and deal with the positive values of this. So it's 11/2 multiplied by 2/3. These 2's are going to cancel out with each other, right? Just because they're going to be on top and bottom. And so this is just going to equal 11/3. Now, keep in mind it's a negative times a positive, so it's going to be -11/3. So we have -5/6 minus, and this is going to end up being a -11/3 as we just found out. And then minus this 7/6. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite a couple things here. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite, instead of taking away a negative, I'm going to write we're adding a positive, and we also need common denominators here. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the thirds in terms of sixths. So we have -5/6, And then if we keep and then add the opposite here, this is going to be 22 over 6 if we go ahead and rewrite those using common denominators, and then minus 7 over 6. So this should look a little bit cleaner and more organized with common denominators. All right, so if we go ahead and add these, negative 5 plus 22 is going to be 17. So we have 17 over 6 here, and then we're going to take away 7 over 6. All right, now 17 minus 7 is just going to equal 10. So we're looking at 10/6 for our final answer, but we can go ahead and simplify this, divide top and bottom by their GCF of 2. So that's going to be 5/3, and as a mixed number, we can say this is 1 and 2/3. All right, here's number 8. For number 8, we have subtraction, multiplication, addition, and division. We have a little bit of everything here. Multiplication and division are going to be tied for first place, but we're going to do the multiplication because it comes first in the problem. So if we go ahead and multiply this 2/5 by this 1/2, we can see that these 2's are going to cancel out with each other. And so this is just going to be a product of 1/5 if we go ahead and multiply those. So let's copy down this negative 9 over 10. And then we just found out that this is going to be 1/5. So let's write minus 1/5. And then plus, then we have this 3/5 divided by this 2/3. All right, so we have 3 operations left here. Between these 3, the division is going to get to go next. Now for the division, I'm going to do that on the side here. So it's going to be 3/5 instead of dividing by 2/3. Let's multiply it by 3 over 2. And if we go ahead and multiply this, I don't think we can cancel anything out. This will be 9/10. All right, so it looks like we have negative 9 over 10. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and just rewrite this 1/5 in terms of tenths as well. So we have common denominator, so that's going to be minus 2 over 10. And then what was the quotient of this 3/5 divided by 2/3? That's right, we said it was going to be plus 9/10 because it's a positive 9/10 that we got there. All right, between these 2 operations, subtraction is going to go first since it comes first in the problem. So negative 9/10 minus 2/10 is the same thing as negative 9/10 plus negative 2/10. That's going to be negative 11/10. And then we're going to add on 9/10 here. It's nice we have common denominators. And then so negative 11/10 plus 9/10, that's going to equal negative 2/10. And how could we write this as our answer? Well, we can divide top and bottom by the GCF of 2 and say it's going to be negative 1/5. We move that negative to the middle, and that would be our final answer. All right, here's number 9. For number 9, it looks like we have parentheses that are being introduced to the problems here. So between subtraction, addition, and addition, it doesn't really matter. We have to look inside the parentheses or the grouping symbol first. So that takes priority. Looks like we have common denominators, which is really nice. I'm going to copy down this negative 3/4 here and then subtract what? Well, 9/4 plus negative 11/4 is going to be negative 2/4. So we're going to go ahead and write this to be negative 2/4. Okay. And then we're going to be adding 7/4 here at the end. Alrighty, so common denominators all around. We have fourths, that's really nice. We are taking away a negative from another negative, so we can add the opposite. So negative 3/4 plus 2/4 is going to be negative 1/4. Go ahead and write negative 1/4 here, plus 7/4. These have common denominators, which is nice. So negative 1 plus 7 is going to be 6. So we're looking at 6/4 here, which simplifies to 3/2, which can be also rewritten as 1.5. Alrighty, for number 10, let's go ahead and say we have division, addition, and multiplication. Division and multiplication are going to be tied for first, but the division comes first in the problem, so we're going to start with that. For the division, let's do that on the side. So if we're dividing, we can rewrite it as a multiplication problem. So it's 5 over 2 multiplied by the reciprocal. That's going to be 3 over 2. I'm ignoring the negatives for just a moment here. 5 times 3 is 15, so we have 15, and then 2 times 2 is 4. So it was a positive times a negative, or a positive divided by a negative initially, so we know this is going to be negative 15 over 4. That's the quotient here. And then we're going to go ahead and add on this 1/2 multiplied by this negative 5 over 2. All right, so this is going to be the next step. Between addition and multiplication, let's do the multiplication here. This one I don't think we have to do too much work because I don't think we can simplify anything. So we have negative 15/4 plus, and then 5 times 1 is going to be 5, and then 2 times 2 is 4. So it's going to be negative 5/4 just because we have a positive times a negative. And then finally, negative 15/4 plus negative 5/4, that's going to be negative 20 over 4. And actually this goes in evenly, so this is going to end up being -5. It's a whole number, or I guess an integer to be more exact. For number 11, we have addition, some multiplication, and subtraction. Between these three operations, let's go with the multiplication here. I'm not going to go ahead and write this on the side because I don't think we have any common factors on the top and bottom to cross cancel at all. So let's just copy down this -7/12. And then what are we going to add here? We're going to add, it's going to be a negative because we have a negative times a positive. And then 5 times 1 is 5. And then 3 times 4 is going to be 12. So we're looking at this -5/12 here. And then we're taking away 13/12. And we should be pretty happy because we have common denominators all around. We have addition and subtraction. Just go left to right here because they're equally important. -7 plus -5 is -12. So we have -12/12, which is really just -1. But for the sake of dealing with fractions, let's just leave it alone for now, since we have common denominators. And then -12 minus 13 is the same thing as -12 plus -13. So it's -25/12. And you can just write this as an improper fraction. Just move that negative to the middle as -25/12. Or you can write it as a mixed number and say it's -2 and 1/12. Alrighty, for number 12, let's see what we got. We have subtraction, addition, division, and subtraction. Between all these operations, let's go ahead and do the division one first. I'm going to write this one on the side just because it's a little bit easier to keep track of everything. So it's a negative divided by a positive, which is going to be a negative. So I'm going to ignore the negatives for now. Let's just do 5/4 and multiply by the reciprocal. That's going to be 2/3. We can go ahead and cross cancel. This 2 becomes a 1, the 4 becomes a 2 by dividing them both by 2, and then 5 times 1 is 5, and 2 times 3 is going to be 6. All right, so that's the quotient here. So we have -7/2 minus this 5/2, and then we're going to go ahead and add what? We just found out that quotient was going to be 5/6, but it's going to be a -5/6, just because we had a negative divided by a positive, and then we're going to take away 9/2 here. All right, so we got a lot going on, but it looks like we have some different denominators. It looks like 2 and 6 would meet for the first time at 6, so we can rewrite everything using sixths instead of halves and sixths. So this -7/2, if we multiply by 3 and 3 top and bottom, that's going to be -21/6 minus, and then if we multiply this 5/2 by 3/3, it's going to be 15/6, and then we're going to be adding another, adding this -5/6 here. And then this -9/2, if we multiply that by 3 and 3 top and bottom, that's going to be 27/6. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and do the subtraction in the beginning because they're all tied to go in order here from left to right. So -21 minus 15 is -21 plus -15. That's going to be -36/6 plus this -5/6 minus this 27/6. All right, between each of these, which let's just do the addition to the left here. So -36 plus -5 is going to be -41/6. And then we're taking away 27/6. I'm just going to go ahead and write this as plus a -27/6, just to keep it a little bit more clear to me. And then -41 plus -27 is going to be -68. So if we go ahead and add these together, it's a negative plus a negative. That's going to be -68/6. Now, as improper fraction, we can divide top and bottom by 2, so that's going to be -34/3. That's one way to write it, or as a mixed number, we can say it's going to be -11 1/3. That's going to be as a mixed number. All right, here's number 13. For number 13, we have division, subtraction, and addition. Between these operations, let's do the division first here. So on the side, I'm going to ignore the negative for now and just do this 9/10 divided by 3/2 is going to be the same thing as multiplying by 2/3. We can go ahead and cancel out the 2 and 10 to make it 1 and 5. Cancel out the 3 and 9 to make it 3 and 1. If we go to multiply here, 3 times 1 is going to be 3, and then 5 times 1 is going to be 5. So that's going to be the quotient, except it's going to be negative since we had a negative divided by a positive. So we have this -3/5 here minus 3/5, and then we're going to add on a -11/5. So we have subtraction and addition. They're equally important. We'll go left to right here. -3/5 minus 3/5 is going to be -6/5, just because we're adding two negatives together here. And then we're going to be adding actually two more negatives, so it's -6/5 plus this -11/5. They have common denominators, which is really nice. So -6 plus -11 is negative 17. So we're looking at negative 17 over 5. That would be our improper fraction, or as a mixed number, we can say this is negative 3 and 2/5. That would be the mixed number. For number 14, we have subtraction, multiplication, and addition. I think we're going to go with this multiplication here. That's going to be the most important. I'm going to do that on the side, or maybe I won't, just because I don't think we can cross cancel. Everything's prime here, so we actually can't. So I'm going to leave this as negative 11 over 6 minus, and then let's see, it's a positive times a negative, which is going to be a negative. So let's put a negative here. 7 times 5 is 35, and then 3 times 2 is going to be 6. So we have negative 35 over 6, then we add plus 7 over 6 here. All right, we are going and taking a negative and taking away another negative here, so we can rewrite that as an addition sign. So negative 11 plus 35 is going to be 35 minus 11, which is 24. So this is going to end up being positive 24 over 6, which is actually just 4, but let's just keep the common denominators to keep it more straightforward. 24 plus 7 is going to be 31. It's going to be 31 over 6. That's our final answer as an improper fraction, but as a mixed number, that's going to be 5 and 1/6. For number 15, we have multiplication, subtraction, addition, and division, a little bit of everything again. Multiplication and division are going to go first, but multiplication comes first in the problem, so we'll go left to right here. We're not going to be able to cross cancel, so I'm not going to write anything on the side here. We also have a negative times a negative, which is a positive. So 5 times 1 is going to be 5 on top. 2 times 4 is 8 on bottom, so we have 5/8. And so that's all we're going to have for that beginning part. We're going to go ahead and take away 11/8 here, and then add on 3/4 divided by this negative 2/5. All right, cool. So at this point, we went ahead and took care of the multiplication. Now it's time to do the division here. So we have this 3/4, and then we're dividing by this negative 2/5. So we're going to multiply it by 5 over 2. I know that there's a negative, but I'll deal with that in just a moment. I can't cross cancel anything. 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 2 is 8. So this is going to be 15/8, but it's going to be a negative 15 over 8, just because we have a positive divided by a negative. So we have 5/8 minus this 11 over 8, and then we're going to go ahead and add on a negative 15 over 8. That's what we just found out as the quotient. All right, at least we have common denominators here. 5/8 minus 11/8 is going to be negative 6 over 8. And we're adding on this negative 15 over 8. All right, so we have a negative plus a negative. That's just going to become more negative. So that's going to end up being, I think it's going to be negative 21 over 8. So if we want to write this as an improper fraction, let's put that negative in the middle. That would be fine. And as a mixed number, this is going to be negative 2 and 5/8. All right, here is one final problem. In this one, we have subtraction, multiplication, subtraction, and division. Between these operations, multiplication is going to go first here. So let's start by just copying down this 7 over 10. We're going to take away, and this is going to be a negative value, so it's going to be negative 9 over 10 if we go ahead and just multiply the tops and the bottoms. And then we have minus 3 over 2 divided by this negative 5 over 3. So just copying down the rest of this. Between subtraction, subtraction, and division, let's go ahead and do the division here. I'm going to write that on the side. It's going to be 3 over 2 divided by 5 over 3 is going to be times 3 over 5. Again, I'm ignoring the negatives for just a moment. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 5 is 10. So the quotient here is going to be 9/10, but it's going to be negative 9/10. So we have 7 over 10. Instead of writing minus a negative 9/10, let's just write plus 9/10 just to clean it up a little bit. And then minus, we said this was going to be a negative 9/10, so let's write minus negative 9/10, just like this. And then we have addition and subtraction. Let's go ahead and do the addition first. So 7/10 plus 9/10, that's going to be 16 over 10. And then it's going to be, instead of taking away negative 9/10, we can just write plus 9/10, just to also write less symbols here. 16 plus 9, that's going to be 25. So we can write 25 over 10. And then we can go ahead and divide top and bottom by 5, and we're going to get 5 over 2. And you can also write a mixed number if you want and say this is 2.5. Alrighty, so there you have 16 different practice problems dealing with the order of operations where we evaluated some numerical expressions. What made these problems a little bit more interesting than maybe past problems is that we had to deal with fractions and making sure that we had common denominators, and also dealing with the fact that we had some negative values as well. So you had to remember a lot of different kind of rules to go ahead and evaluate each of these expressions. If you found the video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and letting me know in the comments section down below. And as always, keep up the great work that you're already doing, and I'll see you in the next one.